Hi, my name is Nikeema Lee, and I am an intimate relationship coach. And the number one question that I usually get is, what is an intimate relationship coach? Well, intimacy is having the ability to see who you are, into me see. And I've said this a few times, and there's some videos out there that you can watch that sort of breaks that down. But when I decided to be this life, to do this thing, I was making $70,000 a year, working as a safety engineer for Miller Brewing Company. And many of my friends had told me that, Nikeema, you know a lot about sex and you know a lot about toys and you should sell sex toys. And I was like, oh, that's easy. Yeah, why not do it? And I never really gave it much thought. At that time in 2008, I felt that it was something that I can do. And I eventually sabotaged my job, thinking that selling toys was going to be the next big thing for me. Not knowing that every decision that I had been making, and made subsequently until a time in 2009, had been all fear-based. I have to go back a few years just to sort of catch you up on why fear was the number one controller in my life. In the ripe old age of 11 years old, my mother decided that she needed to leave. Unbeknownst to me at the time, she had an addiction problem and chose to live her life differently than the traditional mom would have. And by doing so, she left me in New Jersey and decided to live her life in a different state. And being 11 years old and being the product of a single parent home, and all that you know is the love of your mother, to come home from school one day and be told that you're no longer wanted, that your services are no longer needed, at 11 is a pretty hard thing to take. And at that particular time, and every time I tell this story, if I find the pain of that moment, I find the pain of that moment every time I tell the story. And not to do the woe is me, find me a victim, but to know that that was a turning point in my life. That was the moment where I drowned. I died. I no longer existed as a person. And for many, 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 many years, I just existed. I didn't live. I didn't feel. I didn't anything. I just was a shell of a person. And being a shell, I created in my mind that I never wanted to feel that way again. I never wanted to be that again. So people never wanted to leave me. I never wanted anybody to leave me. I never wanted to feel rejection ever again. So what I did was I created this world where I was always perfect. And if I ever was criticized, if I ever was, not wanted for what I did, I made sure I did everything that I could, everything that I could to change that. Thus, the decisions that I made. If you were somebody that I just met and you said that you liked me and I didn't want you to reject me, I would have sex with you because you wanted me to. You asked me to. Whatever you wanted me to, I would do. Because I didn't want to lose you as a person in my life. Dangerous situations I find myself in, from multiple relationships to multiple partners all at the same time, whether it was voluntary or involuntary. I found myself in very risky situations. And I made those decisions consciously in order to not feel rejected. The fear of being rejected, fear of being alone, and fear of being abandoned again, and fear. And I lived this life perpetually throughout my marriages. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I've been married twice. Failed at them because I lived this life through these rose-colored glasses that if I did everything that I needed to do, that you would never leave me. But in the midst of all of that work for others, I never found the love for myself. And it wasn't until I decided to start this business, selling toys, telling women that you can get the best orgasms if you use clitoral stimulation, and that dildos were the best thing for you, and the rabbit was the number one selling toy in the United States for the past 15 years. Like, this is what you need to do. You need to arch your back when you're getting it from behind. Not knowing that the physical act of sex had nothing to do with sex. The physical act of sex is just a byproduct of it. So, a little story about me. At the end of 2009, I was going through my second divorce. I had been in this business for a little over a year, and I wasn't making any money. I went from $70,000 to $700, $7,000. And I was hungry, and I had 2 children to take care of, and just didn't know what to do. Never really knowing what was the next step. And I was literally at my most vulnerable state of mind that I could have ever been, and I ran into a man, beautiful man. To this day, there's a love for him that I will never shake. And our relationship was so fast and so intense that at the moment that he came into my life, I needed everything that he could give me. I just needed something, anything at this point, and he gave it to me. He gave me love. He gave me the moments. He gave me this level of, I will be there for you. And it turned out that the relationship actually wasn't what it was in my head. It was not what it was in my head, you know? So what ended up happening is that when he rejected me, it spun me into a tailspin. And it wasn't anything that he'd done. He just didn't want to be with me, which he had all the right to choose who he wanted to be with in his life and spend his life with. And, you know, and shout out to him because he's happy in the current relationship that he is in, that he chose. And I am happy for them. I mean, they have persevered through so much, and it's not like they deserve each other, but they have really stood the test of time, and that is a beautiful thing. But at that time, I felt the rejection, and that spun me into a moment where I'd send my children away because I knew that it would be okay if they were with somebody that loved them. And I decided to take my life. I wanted to die. And it's not that I wanted to die. I just wanted the pain to go away. I just wanted to stop hurting. I wanted to stop having to relive my life again. Because every time that I would become successful, something in my life would destroy that. And I would have to rebuild, and I could pick the pieces back up, and I can make a brand new, and I can be successful. And I was good at starting over. I was successful at making things better. And I was tired of having to do that all by myself. I was tired of having to encourage myself each and every day. I was tired of having to convince myself that, you know what? You can make it. It doesn't matter who's in your corner. You can make it. You have the strength to do all these things in the world. I was tired of having to convince myself. I was tired. And I just wanted to not do it anymore. I was an 11-year-old that wanted a mom to take care of her. That's what I wanted. And I thought the only way that I could get that was if I ended my life. So, December 18th, 2009, I tried. And I failed. Walked myself into a mental institution, to the emergency room, and I said I want to die. And I don't know how to do it. I need help. I don't know how to help myself anymore. And 2 days into my stay, I find myself on the floor of this mental hospital. And I went through a coaching session, a counseling session. And we talked about grieving. We talked about grieving the death of the people that have died in our lives. And I said, well, there's no one really significant that has died in my life. And the counselor talked about the moment that changed my life. And I said, well, that moment that changed my life was the time that my mother died. My mother left me. And he said, well, that's your death. And he said, you've never really mourned the death of your mother. And I said, you're whatever, you're crazy. And as the session went on, and I began to realize that I was always hanging on to her coming back. No matter where I was, no matter what I was doing, I always had this hope that she would come back. My mom would come back and get me. My mom would come back and get me. Not as a 31-year-old, not as a 29-year-old, not as a mother of two, a wife, a college graduate, a master's degree holder, a business owner, but as an 11-year-old. I always thought she would come back. So that day, I mourned the death of my mother. I mourned the death of an 11-year-old. And it's in that moment that I found life. It was in that moment that I found me. It was in that moment that it was no longer a facade. It was no longer what people projected, what image people projected onto me. It was me. It was Nikeema. It was the inner child. It was my intimacy. And it was in that discovery. It was in that gunk. It was in that trash. It was in that dirty debris of being addicted to drugs and addicted to sex and addicted to money and addicted to a lifestyle that I discovered that's not even who I am. And the things that I've done in my life were not examples of who I was, that I am really just a sweet, wonderful, joyous, smiling individual who just loves to sing and to dance and to smile and loves the sunshine and the cool breeze and wonderful food. And it was in that discovery that I can be able to rattle off the things that Nikeema loves. It is in that I found me. The intimacy. And I knew at the very moment that I found that nugget of life within me, that it started to just grow and said, you know what? I've been waiting to shine for years, and you've been hiding me, and you've been running away from me. And you know what? We're out of here. We're going to be exactly whoever you have ever wanted to be. And you can be that thing. And it was happy, and it was smiling, and it was great, and it was sunshine, and it was beautiful. And it was intimacy. And I would see people on the street, and I'd be like, hey, how are you doing? And they'd be like, oh, I'm okay. And I'm like, how are you? I'm amazing. Well, why are you so amazing? And be like, oh my God, because I found me. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I was like, I gotta teach people how to discover that thing. And whatever that thing is in you, to learn to love that. To learn to embrace that person, that 11-year-old, that 7-year-old, that 22-year-old, that thing that lives and nestles inside of you, that is begging and pounding at your soul to get out, that you try to drown with liquor and drugs, and you cover up with clothes, and you cover up with, you know, all these other things, and it just stifles that thing that's in you. I am that person that says you can be who you want to be. You can be who you are. And it's okay. It's okay to be who you are. That is what an intimacy coach is in my book. That is who I am. I am that person. I am that encourager. I am that light. Whatever you want to call it. I am that thing, that voice that says you, that thing, not the bullshit that you want to give me and says, oh yeah, you're all well put together, and you don't cry at night, and you don't whine, and you don't complain, and you're not sad. Not that person. The one that is sad. The one that says, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do today. I don't know how I'm going to make it through. I don't know how I'm going to change the world. I don't know how I'm going to change my circumstances. But I'm going to what? I'm going to push through, because that little thing that's in the back of my neck, that's in the bottom of my stomach, that thing that says, you know what? You're going to make it. You're going to make it, make it, make it, make it. I am that thing that helps to encourage that. That is what an intimacy coach is. And at any moment, did you hear me talk about sex? No. Because it is emotionally that we have terrible sex lives and we ruin relationships. Because of our mental baggage we bring into relationships, that we block the potentials of having love and unconditional love. Love is unconditional. It's not love if it has a condition on it. I love you when you do this. Just listen to a song that Marvin Gaye wrote. I want you, but I want you to want me too. How can't you just want me? Just love me. Not as a preconditioning experience that I have to love you back, but love me in spite of that. That's love. You love your kids no matter what they do, say, or become. You love them. God loves you regardless of what you do, say, or become. He loves you. How come we can't love others that way? That is what I do. That is what I've dedicated the rest of my life in doing. That is what I am dedicating the rest of my life to, preserve the opportunity to say, you know what? I'm going to shake this mental baggage that I've got going on in my head. I am going to shake this emotional mess that I'm swimming in. I am going to free myself spiritually so that whenever life brings me, it is a moment of emotional oneness. It's a moment of oneness, period. So when things happen to me in a physical sense, they just happen. I have orgasms. I have life, I have love, I have everything that I need. I have it built right into me. And that is what an intimate relationship coach is. Join me. Join me. Join me in the fight of discovery. Go to NikeemaLee.com. We've got a new 30-day program that's coming out. It takes 30 days. It takes time. It takes persistence. You have to consistently do it in order to change. It doesn't happen overnight. You're going to discover shit about you that you're like, oh my God, I should be depressed. I should be depressed. You should be. But we're going to say, you don't have to be. You don't have to be. You don't have to be. You can be whatever it is that you want to be. You can be you. You can be Keisha. You can be Tyrone. You can be Tommy. You can be Kiwana. You can be, Azdi Azul. Whoever you choose to be, you can be that person. And you can be them openly. And you can be them honestly. And you can be with them in love. And you can what? Be authentic. And that's what it's about. It's about being authentic. And that is what I endorse. I endorse becoming authentic. Being who you are. If you're with me on this journey, if you want to become authentic, if you want to live your life from this moment forward, no longer in the shadows of what somebody wants you to be, no longer in the shadows of what the hurt and pain of the past has created you to be, but who you really, truly, honestly decided who you want to be in your soul at this particular juncture in your life, join the team. Join the team. Join the team. We're going to walk this journey together. And I promise you, I promise you that if you decide to make a change in your life today, you will have change in your life today.